Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is where you are. I have Pete, the tattoo gardener, with me here today.
Good to be here, mate. Good to be here.
It's good to have you back.
It has been, well, do you know, we've got two cameras rolling. So we've got Steve's camera over here and then we've got my camera over here. So forgive me if I'm looking too much on that one and not enough on that one, or vice versa. We're just trying to look at both of them. Maybe
And
if we look somewhere there, we'll be looking at both the cameras.
if you're listening on a podcast, it
Yeah,
won't
it
really
doesn't
matter.
matter. Just put it in your pocket and just have a listen.
Put it in your pocket and have a listen. That's right. Yeah. So I hear you're possibly leaving the gardening scene and moving on to pastures new and greener.
I I have been thinking about it last week. It had been weighing on my mind for a long time, and the thing is, mate, like I don't know whether I'm just going through a bit of a midlife, can't even speak, midlife crisis. You know, I know you're a bit older than me, but 43 years old. That sounds really bad because he's going to go, oh, but I'm much older than you. But you know, I think you get everyone goes through that point in their life where you just get burnt out, really tired, and you sometimes think, do you know what, I just need a change. And I think that's where my head was last week. And impulsively, and you probably do it as well, I just grabbed the camera, recorded something, went indoors and hit upload and didn't really sit down and think about it. And then obviously it's been a couple of days now and I looked at it and I thought, you know what, I can't leave this video up here because it didn't sit right. I needed to sit down, think about everything I've built up over the years. Like,
Don't be so hard on yourself.
I think that's the
It
problem.
was a really good video. I think the thing is, I think like that every year, and I've been gardening since I was 14, on and off, and then professionally probably from 22, 23 years old. And as I've got older now, certainly in the last, I'd say in the last 10 years, yeah, easily in the last 10 years, I've thought about quitting, or even in the last 15 years, I've thought about quitting more often than not. So you're not alone with thinking about quitting. And I've many a time I've looked at other jobs, and I've got some examples as well, maybe not for today, but where I've actually gone off and taken other jobs on. But yeah, I don't blame you. I think I'd have probably left it up.
Well, I was going to, and then I thought, oh, do you know what? I basically had this idea of another business that I wanted to get into, and I looked into it, and I worked out what it was going to cost me to start up, and basically I was going to do something from home, so I was going to need to build like a little setup like this, but it was going to cost me over 20 grand. I'm never going to have 20 grand.
Ouch.
I can't get the loan to, and then I've got to do a whole load of courses in order to start that business. And I just thought, do you know what? When I think about everything that I've invested, my time, my effort into the gardening business, and also the effort into the YouTube as well. And you know, you guys that watch the videos, my videos, Steve's videos, we massively appreciate that. Like, and I just sat down and I thought about after uploading that video, and I thought, I can't walk away from this now. I can't let these people down. I can't let the subscribers down. I can't let the people down that have invested their time in us. They've helped us grow and get to where we are. I can't give up on them. I can't give up on the customers that I've built up within the business as well. So I think I'm not going to quit, but what I am going to do is sit down, restructure my business and how I do it. And I think the biggest mistake I've made over the years, and I hate admitting it, but I do too much hourly rate work, and I'm too nice.
Well, you're not alone.
I'm too nice.
You're
to
not
people.
alone. I'm sure
I
there's
don't
loads
like,
of people out there
I
that
don't
do
like
hourly
to say
rate
no.
work.
I always fall into the trap of when I quote a job, I get to know the customer, and I feel like it becomes too friendly. And you can't be too friendly with your customers. You've got to remember,
No good deed goes unpunished.
they're a customer, they're not your best friend. And I think the problem is I've fallen into that trap where I've been too nice and I've gone, oh, I'll do that extra job for that. Or yeah, I'll do it for that. And I'm too cheap. So what I've got to do, and I always recommend, it's hypocritical of me to say this because I always say to people, charge set price. But sometimes it's easier said than done. You'll go in somewhere, price a job up, and then go, like, for example, I did one the other week, and I said, right, it's going to be a set price per visit. This is what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, so how long are you going to be here? So then you're falling back into the hourly rate thing again.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I've got one I priced up. It's I do record it. It's on my channel. Some of the videos from the house. I said to Pete, a lot of my houses, Like I said, I can't say too much because obviously confidentiality with the houses, but they've given me permission to film there, and I charged 120 to a guy, and I said it's a price, so we work out the price wise. It's normally do the edges. I'm waving my arms about if you're listening, but do the edges, mow the lawns, stripe up the lawns, get it tidy. And do a portion of the borders. So not all the borders, because if it's 3 hours on an acre garden, you're perhaps not going to get it all done. And they said to me, well, how much is a portion? So I try and give them an idea of what I think. So if I think it's an hour and a half mowing, trimming, edging, then maybe an hour and a half or an hour doing the border work, and then packing up to quarter of an hour or something, or 10 minutes, whatever. And I give them an idea of how much. And like you just said, they do the same thing. They said to me, so they wrote back to me and I said, it'll be up to 3 hours, up to 3 hours. So they come back and said, well, I've spoken to, the people involved in delivering the quote to you, and they've said as long as you come for the full 3 hours, you've got a deal. And it's like, well, then it's not
It's not.
120, so that's a £40 job. So I've got jobs that, as I've said to you, my minimum charge is 30. That's the price in my head, but they're sort of holding me to doing the 2 hours for 60. I've got a lot of people I'm moving from 60 to 75. That is if they agree in March and they haven't found somebody cheaper.
Yeah.
And that moves me on to what I said to you earlier, Peter, which was I think the problem is there's so many people out there that are, well, in my area in Coal Hill, there's so many people that are much, much cheaper. So I can only charge what the traffic allows. So
I'll give you an example of that. So before, I'm down here in Dorset visiting family who live down the road from Steve. So obviously before we came here, we had come out of my Mrs. Auntie's house, that's right. And basically there's a guy there with a motorhome, and we went, oh, nice motorhome, and we got chatting to him. And he had hater on his t-shirt. I went, oh, are you still doing a bit of grass cutting then? And he must have been in his 80s, mate, honestly. And he said, yeah, he said, you're not going to believe this. He said there was a guy down the road cutting a little bit of grass the other day. He charged him 25 quid. Isn't that a rip-off? And I was like, oh my God. And this is what we're up against. No offence to the old boys, because obviously they don't have, like you and I, you've got mortgage, I've got rent and bills and everything else. A lot of their stuff is paid for, so their outgoings are minimum every month. So when they're doing these little grass cutting jobs, they're okay charging 15 quid to cut a little lawn, because then obviously not declaring it, they're not paying tax on it, they're just doing it for a bit of cash, bit of a hobby sort of thing. But that then it's a real problem for businesses like yours and I. We go in, we price a job up based on experience, time, running costs, paying tax, public liability, and everything else. So yeah, that is what we're up against. People that are doing it either on the side because they're old and retired, or they're not proper gardeners, like you see on the Facebook Marketplace. You mentioned earlier, there was a quote on there. Somebody was looking for someone to do a job, and you get all these people going, "I'll do it, I'll do it."
About 60 comments, I think I counted, and they were like, the person had specified what they wanted done. They'd specified how long they thought it was going to take, and they specified like £25 waiting, or whatever, £30 waiting. And I was personally astonished. I was absolutely astonished that people that I know, not personally, but I recognize their adverts for their companies. So well-known company names that I know that are much bigger than me, that I know that must have bigger costs than me, like lining up for the work. And I can't believe it, really, to be honest. But yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. And like, I know everyone's circumstances are different, and people can take on whatever work they want and price whatever they want. But we know what we need to earn in order to pay not just the running costs, but obviously household bills and everything else as well. And the cost of living is going up all the time. Some people go it's not, but it is. Everything's going up, and everyone feels the pinch. Even the customers, even the rich customers. The bigger the house, the more they're electric. So I do get it. But at the end of the day, and I spoke to Nathan Lewis Garden Services about this up at Groundsfest, and he said to me, I can't remember word for word, but it was almost along the lines of, what you're worth, what that job's worth. Go in, price it, and stick to it. And if they don't want to pay it, then walk away. It doesn't matter, But you've got to stick to your guns on your pricing. Don't fall into the trap of going, oh, okay, maybe I'll do it a bit cheaper. And I, again, hold my hands up. I admit that I've done that on countless occasions, and I wouldn't recommend it. I think know your worth, Stick to your prices and go for it. I've got to start listening to my own advice more, to be
So
honest.
what I'm thinking, I've said to Mara, we're always talking, me and my partner. I say business partner. She's not my business partner, but she's my sounding board. Is that right? I was saying
PA.
next year I want to do more of the mow, blow and goes, because I've got ones that are about. It works. I've repeat the conversation I had with Pete. £1 a minute, so £60 in and out. But I said to Pete, if you look at it honestly, it can be up to half an hour to get to the job, and then an hour at the job or less, and then half an hour back. So I'm still only getting the figure in my head, which is 30. People said to me, somebody with my level of skills, and I think even with Pete's level, from what I've seen of his videos, he's just as good as me, should be charging a lot more. I think one person said they get £75. I've seen videos on here. There's, what is it, teenagers going out earning £500 a day gardening. I think I've seen a thumbnail for that.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how they're doing that, but on price, that is how they're doing it. It is possible. I've talked to Sam. I've watched as many videos as I can. Obviously, we don't all have endless amounts of time to watch YouTube, but Sam from SGM, I've picked his brains. I've phoned him, spoken to him over the phone, video calls, and he does a lot of exterior cleaning. And I've been looking at for years, because I used to clean gutters for a lot of my regular customers to keep me going this time of year, December, January and February. I used to go there and the ground was frozen or whatever, and I used to get a trowel, go up the ladder and just clear out the, when it
Gutters
wasn't
and
too
stuff.
frozen, but clean out the gutters, and I could make it 2 visits, so that was £100. Doing exterior cleaning for the lady. So I get a bucket of hot water and just clean anything that needs, even the greenhouses, inside the greenhouses, to keep going. But I think we definitely need to get away from the hourly, because I was stuck on back in the day on the hourly. I'm still am. I think probably half of my work is hourly. And even if you give, because I've been doing day rates and half days, I've got a video coming out. If I get it out, it was, I said, quoted £150 for half a day, but I didn't go ahead with the job because she only wanted the difficult parts of the job done, because a big firm had come and done all the hedges, so they'd creamed off all that, and another firm had, sorry, not another firm, her husband was supposed to be doing the lawns, and then she turned around and said it was the grandchildren were doing the lawns, but they wanted me to come and trim it for them. And I
It's
thought,
almost like you're
I
getting all the
don't
scraps then,
want
isn't
to.
it?
Yeah, I've in my video I do describe it as, it would be like getting a cleaner around just to come and clean your toilets, and then saying, "Don't worry about the rest. We can manage the rest." And that's what I feel like beings is. I think that's because I've been doing it since I was very young. So after watching your video, which I would have probably left up if it was me, but if I'd made that video, I would have left it up. It got me thinking. But every year for the last 10, 15 years, I've thought, what can I do? And I did take a job. I told you, didn't I? I took a job for an estate whilst I've been on the YouTube train, and I did about 3 days. It was £33,000 total, gross. So we wouldn't get 33 grand because you have your money to come out of it. But it was 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I think people have said about sticking with what we're doing with the gardening, self-employed gardening, it's better the devil you know. And I think, having done 3 days for this company at 12 hours, it was 12-hour days, but obviously I didn't get paid for 12 hours to get that sort of money. But I think I'm going to stick with what I'm doing. I tried some caretaking work, but it was early mornings, and then gardening, self-employed, and then evenings. So emptying the bins, cleaning the toilets, and changing the toilet rolls. And the amount of money I got, I think, it's about 750 a month. But I had to go out in the morning. I had to go out twice a day. It was easier for me to just do 2 or 3 days gardening than it was to run around for that school for an entire year. The amount of running, the trouble is with me, I'm only skilled in horticulture. So my alternative jobs would have been perhaps similar to you, driving, but I can get lost in my own town, so I can't really drive. My eyesight's bad, so I can't read the mail. But like a postal worker, or postman, or a driver's job, or a trolley boy or something, like, or working in a garden centre. But I think I've been doing it for so long, I couldn't go back and work on the cards for somebody. But I must say, I am really disappointed, because I was hoping you were going to come around and tell me about this amazing new business that I could jump on.
I had an idea in my mind, and I won't go too much into detail about what it is, but as I say at the start of the video, I think I mentioned it. I had a plan to do this thing from home, so build like a bit of an office at the back of the garden and everything, and it would have cost way too much. I would have needed a government grant, and just, mate, honestly, it's when I think, as I say, about everything that I built up, it's just not worth it. It's far easier to make subtle changes to the existing business to make it more beneficial to me and my kind of lifestyle. And because as I say, I have to take the wife to work because she doesn't drive, have to take the kids to school.
It's hard.
And
It's really hard.
I do all the running around. So I have, even now especially, I have 6 hours a day plus driving to get all of my work done, and I've got reduced daylight hours. I've got a lad that's helping me at the moment because unfortunately my son's quit.
And I'm the same with the driving because Mara's not got a car. If you follow my channel or Mara's channel, our car's just been written off, so I'm driving them everywhere. But I think the school ends in about a week. I think she's got a week left. So I'm going to be working, as I've said to Pete, providing the weather's okay. Air quotes. We don't know what the weather's going to do, but if I can get out, I will be working for, what is it, the next 2 weeks, isn't it? Working days. But it's, when I say working, there is the light, you can only get so many hours done, so I can only get 2 or 3 jobs.
I was going to say, I'm probably
2 or 3 houses.
I'm probably only doing about 2 jobs a day at the moment.
Well, I've done some days I've only done 1 because of the situation I'm in with not having the car, and my personal life, which gets in the way of working. But it's yeah, so I mean, what can we do about it is not charge by the hour, price work. It's very hard to explain to the customers because they seem to be set in their ways about wanting it price. But if we can't get them over to that, we're going to be stuck like this forever, aren't we? Really, being screwed down on hourly.
Something has to change, because if you look at, well, we've said it before, mechanics, plumbers, electricians, I know they're all skilled trades, and everyone says gardening's an unskilled trade, but I think that's a little bit unfair because, yes, anyone can cut a lawn, anyone can cut a hedge, anyone can jet wash a patio or do a border. But when a professional gardener does it, look at the difference. Like, for example, I've got customers that will mow their own lawn. No offence, guys, but it's not up to our standard.
They must think we can come out and run a van for free.
Yeah.
They must think the van doesn't cost anything to run, the tools don't cost anything to buy.
None of that gets factored in. But yeah, so something has to change within the industry, and people need to understand that we're running a business. And so I think set price is absolutely vital to maximise your profit, turnover, whatever you want to call it. Because to say hourly, you're just so restricted. And I myself, with the hours that I have available to work, I can't carry on working for hourly rate. It's just not possible. So I think that's my plan. Back to Steve's original question, is when he said, are you quitting? I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting YouTube. I'm not quitting gardening.
You caused quite a panic.
I did.
Quite a stir.
I had a rush of blood to the head, and I just went boom. And it's one of my biggest problems. I don't suffer with ADHD or anything like that, but I do have a tendency to just not think before I speak, and I just go boom, and then go, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
It was a shocker, really was.
It was a bit like an episode of EastEnders. I left you all on a bit of a cliffhanger. So look, if you're still watching, I am not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing, and then hopefully from the summer or summer, when we get more kind of, daylight and more time, I'm hoping to do a few more of those freebie tidy ups. And I know nothing in this world is free, but when you see some of the other bigger channels that are doing these freebie tidy ups, yes, they're doing it free to the customer, so the customer's not paying for it, but they're still generating money through YouTube content. So it's a bit of a win-win. You still get paid something. The customer that you're helping hasn't got to pay a penny. So if I find one down here, you'll come down and help me with it. Do you know, I absolutely would. So you're still doing a good deed because you want to help that person and you care, but you're also making a couple of quid off a YouTube video. So it's a win-win situation. And listen, wouldn't it be fantastic if one day you could get, or both of us could get our channels up to that level where we could just do gardening jobs, film it, and get paid through the YouTube without having to charge the customer.
Those sort of videos, I really like watching them because they tend to be quite dramatic transformations, which is good viewing to see, the before and the after, and to watch the process of how you get there. And they usually tend to be in a day, don't they? Because that's what makes it so watchable is how fast it can be done, having the tools and that.
The two channels that inspire me the most for that kind of work are obviously Acres Lawn Care. When I've been so privileged to meet Alex a couple of times and do a couple of videos with him, which has been brilliant. I absolutely love that. So hopefully we can do some more in 2026. But there's also Ben Flawless Cleaning. You seen him?
Yep.
Yeah. What a guy. That guy is so amazing. Like, and it's not just gardens. He does up houses and, you know, like public bridleways and wherever there's a footpath that's overgrown or traffic light. He does so much to help people.
It's nice to give back. It really
And it
is.
is nice to give back. And there is a personal touch. I know some people will just say, oh, you only do it because it's all about money and you're making money off
No, but you
it.
don't have to do it though. I mean, and if people didn't do it, you know,
It would
the
just
world,
get worse and worse.
the
and
world
worse and
wouldn't be
worse.
such a nice place, would it? Do you know what I mean?
And I think by filming it, because somebody said, well, why don't you just do the deed? Why do you have to film it? Well, by filming it,
It inspires other people to do it,
if I've
doesn't
been
it?
inspired to do it because of watching their videos, then if people watch us doing it, then they're going to be inspired to go and do it as well. And again, exactly like Steve just said, that's how you make the world a better place. You're doing something to help the good of the community. They're getting something for free and you're getting some money through your content. So you know, nothing in this world is free. You have to make money. You have to pay bills. And so if you can do that in a way which benefits the customer and yourself, then, you know, happy days.
There's worse things to be doing with your time, isn't there? So
it's also good for your mind because, you know, you could be just, say you're really quiet, you could be going stir crazy at home just looking at four walls going, oh, I just, you know, sit in front of the telly today. Well, instead of doing that, I would rather go out, film something and help someone, you know. So
I think the hardest thing. I was just thinking, the hardest thing about gardening is I don't want to. I've experienced having a bigger company. I've experienced having a VAT registered company, and I've experienced being a lot bigger. And I said to Pete, I said I don't want to go back to where we were with me and a business partner, my brother, and I know four to six members of staff, because it was really stressful. So I have to sort of put my price, because I've still got the price of the van and the overheads, the insurance, the tax, the MOT, the accountancy fees, and clothing and logos and all the other everything. It's just there's masses and masses of costs. I've still got to pay all those, but I don't want to go back to expanding because it's so stressful as well. And you know what I mean, you're not only got the physical kneeling down and bending, you've got the stress side of it as well of running a business. So I think to pile it high and sell it cheap is not what I want to do. To try and make more money by getting more jobs, more houses. I said to Mara, I said, I don't want to go down that, because that's an option. If your turnover isn't enough, you increase your turnover to increase your profit. But there's a saying there, turnover for vanity and profit for sanity. So I don't want to grow, as we talked about, getting a tow bar, getting a trailer. I've heard lots of people talking about that now, getting a bigger trailer and getting a tipper trailer, getting a chipper. I've been there. I'm 50 now. I've been there and I've done that, and I didn't like it. And then I've got to store it. Then I'm running the risk of it getting robbed from me, the trailer or the chipper or any of the tools. And I've only just been broken into again. I haven't even showed you the damage on the van.
No, but I've heard,
so
I know you've been done a few times already.
3 times, yeah. This is the 3rd time, and it's 2 years, 2 days to the day when they robbed me. And I in the comments, spoke to Nathan. Hi Nathan, we love your channel, by the way, if you're listening or watching. Yeah,
I did that on 2 cameras at the same time then.
He was saying to me about I've lost my train of thought now. The break-in. He said that was it. My train of thought. He said it wasn't long ago, but it was 2 years and 2 days. So being on YouTube, I wanted to say to Pete, don't you find that, because I've been on YouTube 3 years, I think now, and we both said we're tired.
About 2 and a bit 3 years.
I bet you're all tired. I know I'm shattered. I am absolutely shattered. But having the car written off, getting broken into, and I had to clear a space in here for Pete, because this was just piled high. There was a door over there you can't even see.
I said to him, do you want to just do a random podcast today for our channels? And he was like, yeah, go on.
I know people can't see this, you can't delve into it, but he's bought me a big bag here of ego stuff. And well, you tell me what you got.
So basically, when I went up to Groundsfest, I got loads of freebies. Look, we all go up to Groundsfest, we get loads of freebies. So in here, obviously, you've got a baseball
You'll
cap.
have to describe it if you're listening.
You've got a baseball cap. Yeah, you're wearing a lovely ego hat, and in here there's a couple.
It's keeping my head warm, actually. It's quite nice. Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
It's cold in here. It's freezing. If I haven't moved much, if anybody's watching, he's not looking at the camera, he's not moving. It's because I'm freezing, and I'm trying really hard today to let Pete talk.
So we've got a couple of t-shirts as well. The Machinery Nation boys gave out loads of t-shirts. I grabbed a couple. So I've got one or
Nice.
two for the summer, but there's one of those there for
I
you.
don't know if I fit in that. I reckon James
Well,
will
it's a
pinch.
large, but I mean,
You might see James wearing it then.
I thought I'd give it to you anyway. And then
Yeah, I'm like triple XL. I'm 3XL.
say
So,
there's an Ego T-shirt there as
nice.
well. So
Yeah.
again, if you well, try them.
Black's good because it is slimming, but I can see James wearing these.
What else we got? There is a Tudor environmental tape measure. This
Nice.
is actually quite a nice tape measure. Very good. But I didn't think I was going to use it, so I thought you may as well. Look at all the tools you've got in here. I mean,
I'm always losing these though because people borrow them, like the family borrow them. And
what else you got? So yeah. Oh,
funny story actually. Molly's car that she's just got, her learner driver car. We put the learner stickers on. Second hand. It came with its own tape measure in the glove box.
There you go.
Hope they're
Don't
not
you love
watching.
it when you buy a car or a van or something, and the first
And-
thing I do is I lift up
and
all the seats to see what's
The people we went
underneath.
to, I forgot to say, because you said about people recognise you, they recognised me off of YouTube when we went there to pick the car up. They said, we know who you are. Because I said, I sort of introduced myself as, you know, Molly's dad to pick the car up. And they go, we know who you are, we've looked you up.
Yeah.
Because they were quite a wealthy family, I think, which is, we got a pretty decent second-hand car. It wasn't an awful lot of money. I think it was about 3,000, which nowadays for a car isn't a lot. Am I right in thinking?
No, it's
not,
all right.
not.
I mean, you can get some alright cars for that price, just some cheap runarounds. But yeah, look,
we were lucky. Go on. What else we got in the bag?
So yeah, there's a little folder thing, DeWalt folder. There's a couple of pens. Which,
Corkboard style. That's
we're
nice.
always losing pens in the van or wherever. So there's a couple of pens in here as well. There's even a curly whirly, mate. I think it's in date.
The amount of times people crash into us, I'll keep that in the truck to write down their number plate.
It's in date till April, but there's a curly whirly as well, mate. And then I got him.
Right, I can't eat the curly whirly. The kids will have to have that, but because that will pull out all my fillings.
And there's some socks for you. Christmas socks.
Nice, Grinch.
The Grinch Christmas socks for Steve-O.
And they're apparently yellow or something, so they'll be like cheese
one's
colour.
red and one's bright green.
Right.
So I've got a pair as well. So you can open them up. He's going to open them up and have a look.
It's a good job the dog. It's a good job the dog's not here. Yeah, that's cool. That is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And I didn't get you nothing, but I did.
No, mate.
I did give you some nibbles, didn't I?
You did. He's fed me. He's given me some crisps and some tea, so I'm all good. I'm happy.
Yeah, we had a few cups of tea, didn't we?
Yes, actually, you know, you were just saying about when somebody recognised you. I was on my way down here today to Dorset, and I was stopping at is it Roundham's, wherever it is, just after Portsmouth. Just in the services there, grabbing a bite to eat at Mackie D's breakfast and that. And this guy came out the toilets, and to anyone that can't see me, he was basically pointing like this, and he went, "Where have I seen YouTube? I've seen you on YouTube." He goes, "You're a tattoo gardener, aren't you?" I went, yeah. And he shook my hand. He was really nice. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going down to see Steve, my mate Steve and Cheese." He goes, "Oh, I watch him too."
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, it's well good. But do you know what? Even little things like that made me go, do you know what? I can't give this up. I absolutely love the fact that
you'll be careful. It can be addictive. You know that.
But it's almost inspiring.
No, it is nice.
Without little interactions like that and people like when I did that video the other day, I had so many comments from nice people that said lovely things like "we wish you all the best" and all that. Obviously,
You've inspired a lot of people I know to start gardening, and then they're like, "Oh, what are we going to do if Pete disappears?" But I mean, like I said, if you I would start trying to do other things. I mean, that's what, like I said, I'm going to try gutter cleaning next year. But I definitely, if anybody takes anything away from this video, it's try and do everything on price. So I mean, for me, if I'm not quite sure, that's when we fall into the hourly trap. It's like £30 an hour. But that for me is, I think, we're talking about weeding. I don't think I want to do weeding anymore. I'm just going to take it totally off the board. So it's pressure washing and like I said, property maintenance jobs,
I think that's
cleaning.
what I'm going to do, because I want to do jobs that I know that I can only charge
in and
price
out,
for.
in and
I
out.
can't weeding jobs, no matter how you try and do it. Weeding has to be hourly. I don't want to be on my hands and knees weeding anymore. It kills my knees. It hurts my elbows, hurts my back because I'm kind of arched over. Then my neck hurts. I would rather be mowing, even a bit of scarifying, because I brought a scarifier which I haven't even used yet. It's brand new in the back of my van.
I was frightened to tell people on YouTube because I tell my customers that I'm videoing for YouTube, or is it okay to video your garden for YouTube? So I assume that they will be watching at least the video which is of their house, but then they could be like, if I disappear, I mean, I've disappeared for a couple of weeks because we've had trouble at home, haven't we, with the cars and the break-in and all. We have loads of paperwork to sort out. And it's raining as well. We haven't been able to work because of the rain. I've not been able to go
been
out. People have
shocking.
turned me around. I've got to the door, knocked on the door, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't expect you," basically, even though they're scheduled visit. And a lot of people said to me, "You should have phoned," but I expected to work, and they said, "No, it's too wet, Steve, because the wheels of the mower will just sink into the ground." So
coming to
where it's
that,
been so
do
wet.
you have, like, everyone should have terms and conditions? My wife keeps nagging me about it all the time. Terms and conditions. Do you have terms and conditions?
I do, but we're a bit hopeless. Because I say we, I leave it tomorrow to send it out in an email with the quote, or if they accept it before we. Somebody said we should put it on my website, so we will probably at some point get it uploaded to the website. But yes, we do have terms and conditions. But I think it's a bit hard on the customers if they read it, because it almost, to me, when I read it, it feels like it put me off of employing me, because it says that we don't cover breakages. Because I've got some footage of James. He had a bit of an accident with the Scarifier. I haven't put it up yet. I've put up how to Scarify, but what I wasn't in the video was when James turned the Scarifier around, he nicked a bit of the guy's patio, and I couldn't actually see the damage, but the customer did. Actually cost me £110, because obviously he's still one of my customers, and we obviously did immediately repair the patio. And in case you're wondering, I think they put a bit of resin in because I had no idea how you'd go about repairing a patio. But maybe one day I'll put that video out. But yeah, we do have terms and conditions, and it does say, like, if we step on some lights or something that are in the grass, the solar panel ones, or there's lights in the hedge, and I always tell them to remove them. 9 times out of 10 they don't, but they normally come out on the day and go, "Oh God, I forgot," and then they do it while I'm somewhere else in the garden. But yeah, things like chopping up lights, because I mean, I've delivered logs before in the past when I'm doing logging. There's no money in that at all. And I knocked somebody's gatepost, which was rotted out as a pair, and it snapped off because it was rotten, and they made me come back and put a new one in. And I thought, well, that's a bit unfair. So things like that, even with just delivering logs, you should say, for, it's difficult. That's the trouble with it. But main thing is have insurance, isn't it? Have public liability insurance. But I do have the terms and conditions. I do send them out.
Do you, in your terms and conditions, have a policy that states if you turn up at a job, say you've been working in a job, it's been raining, you're wet, but you turn up at the next job anyway, and they turn around and say to you, "Oh, don't worry, just go home, put your feet up, have an early day, have an early finish."
No, I'm too soft, because I said, "Don't worry, I won't be charging you for today."
Yeah, but so
But I mean, that was probably my fault for going. But
my wife Maria says to me, "What are you gonna do? Are you gonna still charge them for that visit, even if they turn you away? Are you still gonna say, 'Well, look, I've still driven here. That's my time and fuel. I'm still gonna bill you for that visit'?"
when I was a big firm, much bigger, and VAT registered, we used to do 12 monthly contract, and it would say on there when we came, and it would be the price for the year. So I don't know if it's 12 grand, that's £1 a month in it, and that's how we did it. Or half of that, £500 a month for 6 grand, and we would say that we don't come, I don't know, December, January, February, or November, December, January, February, but the price, so we'd still get paid for those months and not go. But I've never had it written in about, like, the way you're saying it. If we turned up and it was raining,
and they've said just go home, because I've had it countless times where they've done that, and they go, "Oh, just go home, put your feet up," and I'm like, "That's great, but A, I'm here, I'm already soaked anyway,
I think that's,
and B, I'm now going to go home and not earn any money, so that kind of pisses me off because it impacts me paying my bills." So I feel like if you're there and you've made the effort to drive there, they should still pay you for that visit. Even if I'll say, "Fine, okay, I'll go, I won't stay, I'll go home," but you're still going to be paying me for that visit anyway. I think that's fair.
So yeah, the only thing I try to go over it again is, like, I looked at the 2025 as 9 months that I could work and 3 months where I probably can't work, so to put money by. But I know it's not answering your question, but that's how I got round what we got, December, January, February, what they call the lean months, aren't they? They are going to be really lean. I mean, obviously I haven't started my service. I've got to service everything, give it clean and sharpen if I get the time, but I don't know quite what the answer is for it. I mean, like I said, that's how we've done it. Looked at the horticultural year for us is 9 months, but unless you can draw up a contract between you and them, I think that's how, when I was bigger, that's how we used to do it. So we used to get paid, and I wouldn't say not go. We used to get paid and we go, but it might be like 2 hours instead of half a day. So you know what I mean. So
the other thing I might include,
main things.
The other thing I might include
do
in
what
it
you can
is
do.
Late payment fees. So if a customer, the problem is the law states people have 30 days to pay. But that doesn't really work, because if you think about like a mechanic, if you put your car or your van in to be serviced or fixed, and they go, oh, they ring up, Pete, it's all ready to come and collect it now. So you go down there, you want your keys back so you can get your vehicle back. You have to pay straight away. You go to the
Yeah.
supermarket, you pay straight away. When the electrician or a plumber comes out, you pay straight away. So that whole
Yeah, but that's because gardeners are made of money.
but that 30 days to pay thing just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's why gardeners struggle sometimes.
My
had
policy is
so many...
payment on the day.
Yeah,
which I don't always get. It can be up to 2 weeks, but I don't normally let it get that far. I normally chase them. So they're fortnightly jobs, and I bill on the day, and I normally get paid within a week because I chase and chase and chase with text.
I hate
constantly reminding.
people.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do to try and combat that is sort of put on the invoice or the WhatsApp message, whatever I do to them, is I would like payment within 24 hours of the visit. So you're kind of giving them like a day or two, but then after that it will be, I don't know, £5-10 per day that payment is late. So it's a bit of a deterrent.
My brother's he bills at the end of the month. He's in the same trade as me, and we were chatting. I think it was last week. He came around with the Christmas card for me, and he was saying that he gives him a month. And I said, oh no. I said, we were laughing. This is the point why I mentioned it. We were laughing. I got my text message out, and literally every other message is, please make payment. Payment is now due. Payment is overdue. Please make payment. Please make payment. Literally, I can show you on my phone all the customers. It's constantly. Mara goes, have they paid yet? I go, I don't know. I'll have a look. And it's like a week on, and we're still waiting for that payment.
Do you send them messages on WhatsApp so you get you get the two blue
WhatsApp
ticks?
or
They've
text
seen the messages
and not
it's a
replied.
week after you've been and they haven't replied and they haven't paid, and you're like,
sometimes they've got a genuinely good reason,
fine,
which is fine.
But when they just don't communicate,
it does happen
with you
too often,
and they don't tell you, it's just like, okay, well, you're just left in limbo, and it's like, well, I'm going to that visit again next week,
I think,
and you still ain't paid for that one.
Like you said, it frustrates me because obviously we're all doing a lot of shopping, Christmas shopping and that, and you can't wheel the trolley out past. They won't let you out unless you paid for it, will they? There's no way. Tesco's is the best analogy, isn't it?
Yeah,
they won't take. You can't go unless you paid for it.
And it's the same with anything. You go in any shop or have any service anywhere else, you cannot have that service or that product unless you pay for it there and then. So all I would say to the British public or anyone that hears this, if you're a potential customer to a gardener or whatever, don't make people wait. It's their livelihoods. They've got kids to feed and bills to pay, pay them straight away.
Daryl's my mechanic. When did he get paid when he did my gearbox?
Same day.
Same day, £300 bump, and I text him, payments in your account, mate, straight away.
That's what I mean.
I don't mess around with anybody. I don't think there's anybody I ever owe money to. I just pay them. Most of it is like, probably for you, it's direct debit. You can't tax and insure your vehicle. That's all direct debit, isn't it? And it's crazy. I'm in business and I've constantly got my hand out. I'm always paying all the time, and it doesn't. That's the trouble. It doesn't stop in December and January and February, because people go, oh, I didn't think you worked. A lot of the time customers say, well, I didn't think you worked in the winter. And I literally said to one of my customers, I said, I still have to pay my bills. I said, I've still got to pay, just because I'm not driving the van. Yeah. I'm still paying tax, MOT, insurance, and all the rest of it for it. But
yeah, it's weird. It's really strange how people think that.
To close 2025, we're looking at a review. We had a very good year, and I was very pleased. But I said to Pete, I don't think I'll want to be working as hard next year for so little at the end. And then obviously we had real bad luck at the end, and I think you did as well. You had some.
The clutch went on the car. But my car's had about 5 or 6 grand spent on it in the last 4 months.
Endless bills.
It's just killed me. But it's got to a point where the car's fine now. Problem I've got at the moment, my van, it's super high mileage. I'm not really in a position where I can go and buy another van. I can't get one on finance, and so I'm thinking I might have to sell my van and just temporarily work out the car until I can build up funds to buy another van. I might get a smaller van, although I think that's a bad idea because I've got too many tools.
My brother was saying he wants to take his off the road for 6 months and get a smaller van. He was looking at mine, and then I said, "Oh no, a smaller van." So a bit like some of the, I won't mention any names on it, but some of the smaller YouTubers on YouTube van, smaller van. Well, he's not big. He's a bigger YouTuber, but he's got a smaller van than me.
The smaller vans are great because they're cheap to run, cheap to tax and insure.
You just get a couple of motors in there,
rather
than like everything.
Motors or whatever. But when you've got ladders and all
Freezing.
your other tools.
It's
Oh,
cold in
mate,
the shed. Yeah.
yeah, if only you could feel it. Luckily, it's not cold enough that there's.
It's not
breath.
snowing, yeah.
No.
But
yeah.
we have a good chat, don't we? We had a sit down and a cup of tea. We've had a good chat, chewing over the fat. And
Yeah.
I don't know, what are these things you got behind me? I know they can't see if they're listening,
These were
but
Ground Fest.
are they water bowls?
Yeah, so
So we've
that's a Crest water bottle. There's some Crest water there. I think it's edible. And there's some lagers there as well, just in
Has
case.
it got water in it?
That has, yeah. And then there's some lagers here, just in case it all gets too much for you, mate.
Nice. Well, we've got it sat above my glass cupboard, which is full of all the liqueurs in it, or not liquor, whiskey.
Your little secret alcohol.
Spirits. That's the word I was looking for. Spirits.
Alcohol
Yeah.
stash, mate.
I would have offered you a drink, but you got to drive, and I've got to pick my kids up later, I expect. So they've wandered off, and I don't know if they're going to wander back. But I can't think of what else was on my mind. I want to do later on a video on my channel about anxiety, low mood, and depression.
I think
because I'm feeling all of that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, again, that partly comes into how I've been feeling because I've been so worried about everything. I think my anxiety levels and stress levels have been so high.
There's a song in there somewhere. Every time somebody says anxiety.
Anxiety.
I can't see. I'm not seeing it. My daughter's every time somebody mentions it, but no, it has. For me, it's been the most awful. Don't get me wrong; it was a good year. It's not all negative, but the end of the year, having the car written off.
I think it's this time of the year when you've got loads of outgoings and daylight slows down and work slows down a little bit, and and then you've got customers that don't pay you straight away, and you're looking at your bank going, "Oh my god!" And then you've got staff.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Mine's not looking. I'm eating into it now already.
You get staff letting you down, and then you think, "Great, January's coming up, tax will at the end of the month," and then I think next year as well, the tax is going to 4 times a year or something, isn't it? Quarterly, every quarterly. So you're going to be paying your accountant 4 times a year. So you've got that to stress about. It's so much to stress about.
It's all changing. It's all changing.
And I think all of it just got too much for me, and I just thought, you know what, I need to get out. I need to get out of this and do something different. But deep down, I love it. I love it too much, and I can't just walk away. I can't walk away, mate.
Well, I'm still looking for a job down here, so you can come down. But I think it'll be more next year now, won't it? Next year for a job, maybe.
Yeah.
But because I enjoyed doing the hedge, we did a hedge cut, didn't we? Oh my god.
Yeah, no,
I'm still not recovered. No wonder I'm so tired, because that was an extra to the previous year.
I massively undercharged that one as well. That's another one that I.
Well, yeah, considering the one I was talking about the other day that I did, the hedge reduction, that was
I'll tell you what, if I can find that video, I'll put a link to it in the description or somewhere. If I can put it on the screen, I'll put it on the screen.
Don't let it go. Don't let go of the branch you're on until you've got a firm grip on the next branch.
Yeah.
It's another analogy, is it?
Yeah.
So find one to replace it, because I mean I've given up jobs at about $8.50 for 2 or 3 days, and then I've gone on and filled them with a new client.
Yeah, I won't necessarily give that one up, but what I will do, she asks me, because I've done that hedge job 3 years in a row. I think if I do it next year, I will not be so cheap. I mean,
you're such a nice guy. That's the trouble. You're subsidising everybody. Because when you said about doing work for free, I enjoyed doing work for free, and I do want to give back. But I feel like you're doing that for everybody at the moment with the rising costs. We're not. We are eating up the rising costs.
It's nice to do charitable things to help people now and then, but at the same time, you've still got to make a living, and you've got to cover your. If you don't cover your overheads and your running costs, you ain't going to have a business. It's as simple as that. So you've got to start thinking about number one, which is yourself and your business.
And you've got to think about where you're going, progression in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? So you have to constantly think ahead and just try and make changes that work to your lifestyle and your business.
I've got to be 60. I've got to start planning, haven't I?
I think well, you know that guy I saw earlier, I was telling you about the guy with the hater shirt. He was well into his 80s and he's still gardening 5 days a week, and I'm like, I don't want that to be me in the nicest possible way. As much as I love this, I can't imagine me walking behind a hater at 80 years old. I want to be resting.
I will be trawling YouTube for the low-hanging fruit, easier jobs. If anybody's got any advice, I think there is a guy in Australia, I can't think of his name now, the Australian guy that does the grass cutting.
God, what's his name? I know who you mean.
Sorry if you're watching. Yeah, he does watch me sometimes. But
I don't know what his name is.
He's probably not the person you're thinking of. He's not that big, but there's one guy that watches me and Nathan and a few others. He watches occasional videos, and he's got really good advice for. Well, I think he must be up in his 70s. I think he's about 70 odd.
Oh, I know. I know who
He's
you
a
mean.
smaller channel, I think, than the one.
Oh, I know the Aussie guy. Yeah, I speak to him.
I can't remember him.
He's an older boy, isn't he?
Edit that out quickly. But yeah, he's very good.
He's lovely. He's a lovely guy, and we often have a chat. And I always say, "How's everything going down under and out?" I've got family down in Australia. I've never been down to see him. It's always them coming over here, spending their money.
Oh, he was talking about that as well today, weren't we? People all over the world watch our channels, Canada and that, don't they? For me and all over. But yeah. Hopefully they don't watch everything I make, because they'd be a bit bored, won't they? But yeah, so it was absolutely pleasure seeing you again.
Yeah, no, it's been nice to come down, nice to see Steve, and just to come on and have a little chat like this, because we did one a few months back and we really enjoyed it. And I said
I enjoy doing them.
The one thing I would love to do more on this channel is just have guests on, and
I would like to do it as well, but it's not. I thought more people would have contacted me, because it was the Kilted Gardener first of all, I think, and you early on, and then Sam. But yeah, I mean, it's my own fault as well, because I wanted to get to Groundsfest, didn't I? I said to Peter, I got the van all stripped out, it was all ready. I was going to sleep in the van. I took the bulkhead out. I had it all ready to go, but I've got commitments at home, and I just couldn't get away at the last minute. So I was going to try and get to Groundsfest, and maybe if I can find some more, I might go and look at some more. So I think somebody said that people have been saying to me, "You're going to be there." My subscribers
it's so good.
So I will try my hardest to get to Groundsfest next year. It definitely is in my wheelhouse, and I think I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and to anyone watching this that's never been to Groundsfest, I can highly recommend it. Look out for the dates. You know, the entry, it's not tickets as such, it's like a free entry pass thing, but you just sign up and you can get them. They print them off at the door and in you go. But it's brilliant. Oh, mate, honestly, I've never seen so many tools. I met so many wonderful people, other content creators. I met some of the subscribers. They came up and said hi and asked for a photo and that. And it was like, yeah, it's just amazing. I had such a great time.
Be there or be square.
Be there. Yeah, go to Groundsfest 26.
Yeah. We wind it up.
We're going to wind this up. Yeah, so thanks
watching.
for taking the time to watch Steve's channel and my channel. And yeah, if you're new, please consider subscribing to both of our channels, because it really does help us out. And
what he said, and he says it's so much better than I do.
I'm not reading off a script or anything. Honestly, this is just
this was just a pub chat without we got the drink in the cupboard. We're not allowed to touch it because we're both driving. So yeah. I don't know what the time is. Like
I was going to do that,
it's afternoon. It's afternoon somewhere anyway. Yeah. I'm going to go and get another cup of tea, because I can't have a beer, can I? Because I've got to pick the kids up. Can't I?
And I've got to go and use your bathroom because I'm bursting.
Same. I didn't like to say that. You're more honest than me. Ta-ta for now.
Take care, guys. See you later.